Oh, the sun is shining. It is a beautiful day. Finally. Rain this weekend? Of course there's going to be rain this weekend. Why wouldn't there be on Saturday? But anyway, we're looking at sunny skies and temps real comfortable into the 70s today. It's going to be beautiful. Fly on the Wall Productions bringing you the Aired Out podcast live on Facebook and YouTube. We're streamed everywhere you get your podcasts, and we're on the web at airedoutvt.com. Made by Woodland Studios right here in Central Vermont. Shout out to Locarno's To Go. Here we are approaching the weekend. This is the time to start thinking about what's your plan for eating deliciously, eating healthy, eating easy, weekly grab-and-go meals, perfect for the busy lifestyle. If you're heading into the weekend and you're trying to figure out what to do, just swing by Hill Street Market, Green Mountain Community Fitness, and Harrington Store. Those are the three places where you can grab something made fresh, made locally from Locarno's To Go, and mostly just flat out delicious. Eat well, simplify your week, and grab something to go from Locarno's, locarnostogo.com. Deb Phillips with us on a Wednesday morning from the World newspaper. Good morning, Deb. How are you?
JD, we're doing great.
Paper comes out today. The World, of course.
Yes.
What are we looking for when we open up the pages?
Well, it's that time of year for graduations and Father's Day. Father's Day is this Sunday. And this week, World, we have lots of great gift ideas. So we're trying to remind people to shop local. Also this week is a congratulations page for Capital Stationers in Montpelier.
Wow.
The Bigglestone family is celebrating 75 years of business in downtown Montpelier. Quite accomplishment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Keep going. What else do you have for us?
We're just going to remind people that for all their local news and events, they got to pick up a copy of The World. You don't want to miss a week of your hometown newspaper.
I know. Easy to advertise. What's the best way to do that, Deb?
Email us. Very easy. sales@vt-world.com, or give us a call.
That simple.
Yes.
Wow. And what is it on the web? It's vt-world.com, I think?
That is correct, yes. And each week we have a digital copy of the entire paper that people can look at if they want to.
Okay. And it's coming out in mailboxes in some zip codes, right?
Yep. 05602 gets it on Thursdays in their mailbox, and we're working on getting it into 05641 zip code.
All right. Deb, thank you ever so much. Anything else you can think of today?
Nope. I was like, just get out, get your copy.
You got it. I look forward to Chris arriving here. He should be here anytime. Thank you so much again, Deb.
Thanks, JD.
Yeah, you got it. We love you guys so much. Sitting right next to me is Rick Yarish, Sergeant Rick Yarish. And I want to welcome you back to the studio, buddy. Just throw that microphone a little bit closer in front of you if you don't mind. I want to welcome you back and say thank you so much for not only coming here today, returning to Aired Out, but also for your service to our country.
Well, thank you.
Tell us, you are. There's a lot going on here with you. You wear several different hats. You're an amazing spokesperson. You have thoughts, feelings, opinions about a lot of different things. But you have taken some unfortunate, very unfortunate circumstances in your life and flipped them right on their back and turned everything that's happened. And I said this the other day to Tom, to you, and made it something that has happened for you.
For sure.
And look at what you're doing, the impacts that you're having not only on children in schools with Tom and Sweethearts and Heroes, but far beyond that. Adults, you're impacting adults in businesses everywhere, all over the place.
Well, I sure hope I am. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. I guess I certainly wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if there wasn't a result that I could see.
Yeah.
But I do see the results. So, why not?
Sure.
If you can make a difference, make a difference.
What you guys? When I say you guys, I mean Sweethearts and Heroes.
Sure.
You travel everywhere. You go everywhere.
Yeah, we're all over the place. I mean, it's mostly the Northeast, but New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. But yeah, we'll go anywhere.
When I want to ask you, obviously I have a lot of questions, and you've been on the air before, and I know the answers to some of them. But working in schools, when you met Tom, which I want to know more about that, how you met Tom and how you came to be with Sweethearts and Heroes. But working with schools, Tom's bringing you into schools, or maybe you're bringing Tom into schools. But when children, when kids, little kids, see you, what's that like?
Well, today it's awesome. A long time ago, it was not so awesome. It's just because I didn't know how to handle it, and that wasn't really going into schools. I would avoid situations where there was going to be groups of kids because, I don't know, it kind of feels like crap when you walk in, and I'm not blaming the kids. It's not their fault.
Sure.
But you're seen as the monster.
Right.
Like, literally. I mean, a kid sees someone that looks like me. No ears, no nose. They know what a human being looks like. They know what a person looks like. It does not look like me. It looks like you. It looks like other people. Doesn't look like me. So kids really at 5 or 6 years old, they just don't know what they're seeing. A lot of times after we're done with a presentation, even today, we'll be done with the presentation and a kid will come up and be, "Are you wearing a mask?" Like, no, I'm not wearing a mask. This is my face every single day. It doesn't bother me today. But back then, that stuff, like, I just would avoid those situations. Now, a statement like that, whatever. I just didn't like them. I didn't like to see them afraid of me.
Yeah,
that was a bummer.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Thinking I want to be a dad someday. Will my own kids look at me that way? Will they see me as a monster? Will they see me as different?
Yeah,
and
right.
It's funny, because I got 2 kids now. I got my 13-year-old Tenley and my 5-year-old Grace, and my daughter Grace. She thinks everybody else's dad looks weird. Like, I'm normal because I'm just that dad to her.
Wow. You are known as the world's leading hope expert, hope being the acronym for Hold On, Possibilities Exist. That is a profound statement, my man.
It's a profound statement. I have a hard time considering myself an expert in anything other than maybe some food items and stuff like that. Yeah. But being an expert, that means you know everything. My expertise only comes from the fact that I've lived it. I know hope because I know hopelessness.
Yeah.
I know the pit that people have been in. I know my own pit that I've been in, and that's how I know so much about hope. Because, I mean, if you look at me today or people hear me talking today, they don't look at me as hopeless.
Yeah.
They right off the bat they can see, but I've been there, and I think that's why people can see hope in me.
Sure,
it's because I have felt hopeless in my past.
Yeah, I have had conversations with my little girl about various things, life and whatnot. And one of the things that we've talked about is, what do you think the most powerful word is in the world? And I've asked her this. And she's thought about it. And of course, a lot of people come out with love.
Sure.
And of course, I'm not going to say to her, you're right, you're wrong, whatever.
Right.
But it's an interesting conversation. Love, the word no is a very powerful word.
For sure.
But the word hope it's got to be right up there, man. Definitely top 3, if not number 1, because you have to think about what comes first. I mean, can you have love without hope?
Right.
What's the root? What's the beginning?
And that's exactly what it is. It is the first step. it's the first step that you have to
to
want
have everything else.
right. And people, I've heard you even say it can be a dangerous word
Yes.
as
Ooh,
well.
you remember that.
It can be a dangerous word as well. But hope is also about being realistic. Like I hope I play in the NFL someday. Listen,
So do I.
I'm not playing in the NFL someday.
All right. Who's got better odds, me or you?
Probably. Well, I'm gonna have to say you.
Okay, good.
If it was Tom sitting here, I would say me. Obviously.
Speaking of Tom, I hope he's okay. I don't know if you heard that I broke his wrist the other day. Very unfortunate, but
he avoided to tell me that part.
Yeah, I had arm wrestled him for his shirt, and I won.
Yeah, you got the shirt.
He got injured, but I hope he's okay. But I got literally his shirt. He had to take it off and give it to me.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's a little big for me.
Yeah,
can you tell? And it kind of smells a little bit, so I apologize for that.
Well, he always says he wears that shirt every single day.
No, he does.
So the fact that's pretty gross. No. But he's also a big baby.
Yeah, he is.
I always tell the kids, like, every morning I see him like pumping air into his muscles.
Yes, I've seen that.
He pumps
out in the car. He does
and then
that.
He flexes, and I'm like,
and then he puts on the
air.
Mr. Incredible shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell's going on here?
Self-proclaimed superhero.
No.
You know the best part about this right now?
What's that?
He is not here to defend himself.
No, that's
it's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he'd be jumping in, trying to cut me off when I'm like, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-proclaimed superhero.
Yes.
That's it. That's what he is.
True. How did you? Obviously, we're going to talk about your story and what happened. But how did you meet Tom? How did you get involved with Sweethearts and Heroes? Was it at that dark point in your life when you were hopeless?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
So it was past there, but also still trying to figure out who the heck I was and what do I really have to offer the world or me myself even. What can I do for myself? And I started speaking. So when I was in the hospital, I just didn't know what I could do for a living. I didn't know what the future looked like at all. But I saw a guy on our chapel channel that would play at night, and there was nothing else on 2 or 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep because of all the stuff I was dealing with, pain, anxiety, depression, medication, buzzers and beepers going on.
We're talking, 6 months more, maybe?
What's that?
Of being in
the hospital, 6 months. 6 months in that hospital, yeah. And ICU was a mess. I mean, I wasn't even really, there. Yeah. In my mind, I was somewhere else. It's a wild things that were going on in my head. But I couldn't. I just dealing with so much. And there was this guy that came on named Dave Reaver, who was a Vietnam War veteran, and he talked about his life. He talked about his injuries and all those things, and so I could relate with him. But then he also talked about his where he was at that point in his life, 40 years after his injury, and he talked about his family, his wife and his kids, and he talked about his job, and he was a public speaker. So I was like, you know what? If Dave can be a public speaker, maybe I can too.
Yeah, wow.
So that's kind of how I started. So I started speaking small, classrooms here and there at my old high school, in Windsor, New York. And then I spoke at a wrestling event because I got inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2010. Pretty big, huge honor. It's not pretty big. It's one of the biggest honors I've ever had. So I got inducted. That brought me back into the wrestling world. So I was speaking at a camp that one of our buddies was at, Jason, and Jason saw me speak, and he said, you know what, I'd love for you to be a part of Sweethearts and Heroes. And I was like, no, thank you.
Really?
Well, Jason's a big guy, bald, tattoos, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Appreciate it, but I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to figure this out. And, so I go, he leaves and kind of go on my way, start doing my own thing. Jason tells my story to Tom. Tom starts using my story in his presentation with Sweethearts and Heroes. And they start using it. And, I've talked to thousands of kids now with my story. And they're like, we need to talk to Rick and tell him we're using his story. Just so that somebody doesn't call him and be like, hey, Rick, these guys are using your story. It's not good.
Yeah.
So they contact me, and I ignore.
Really?
I did. I just was doing my thing.
Yeah, right.
I was good. I didn't really need to be a part of something else. I didn't think. I did, but I didn't know that. So I ignore him. Eventually, some crazy things happen. So Jason, he went to high school in Queensbury, New York, with a guy named Shane. Shane and Jason were best friends, played football together, hung out with each other. But when they graduated high school, they just separated. They went their separate ways.
Okay.
And Jason went to college, and Shane joined the Army. Well, they hadn't seen each other in 20 years. They just separated, hadn't talked, really seen each other in 20 years. I think Shane came home for Christmas one time, and they ran into each other, and Jason and Shane are telling the stories of life and families and, what they're doing. And Jason mentions Sweethearts and Heroes. And then he mentions this guy named Rick Yarish that we saw present, and we've been trying to get a hold of him. And Shane's like, wait a minute. Did you just say Rick Yarish? And Jason's like, yeah, why? And Shane's like, I was Rick's physical therapist in the hospital in San Antonio. Yeah. Shane was my physical therapist in the hospital in San Antonio. Now, I hadn't met Jason when I was in the hospital. I met him after. But I had no idea that Shane and Jason were connected in any way. And then Shane called me. It's weird. So Shane called me and he said, will you please call Jason and Tom? And I was like, okay, now I have to. So I called and I met up with them at a school, and here we are 15 years later, and 2 million students.
Was that meetup at the school, is that something you knew right away? All right, this guy, I gotta do something with him.
Tom has a way, for sure, as you know. He is a man with a vision. And now, knowing him for so long now, I just know that he will turn whatever he's doing into something effective and something that just works. Now, when I first met him, I could see that vision of what he was doing. And also, when I went in and I told my story. Didn't really go into much else. I didn't really know what else to talk about. I mentioned the word hope, but I didn't really dig into it. But that's really what my story is, and they helped me figure out how to present that story of hope. So, I mean, that's how we met, and that's how it started. And, eventually it was to the point where we were doing 130 days in schools every single school year. Lots of schools.
Right off. Yeah, Tom doesn't do things slowly. He doesn't ease into stuff.
Yeah, he's not a partial anything kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah. And it's unbelievable. He just tuned in as you were giving all those compliments to Tom. He missed everything before that.
Oh, he didn't. He caught the compliments?
He caught the compliments.
I was going to say we could lie and just say there were no compliments. Yeah.
What happened, man? It's like, how did you go off to war?
So I graduated high school in 2000. Barely graduated, so had a barely get by attitude. Once I graduated, that barely get by attitude doesn't just disappear; it sticks with you. Yeah, I thought the diploma changes everything. Nope, now it's the next point in your life. Everything changes. Nah, it's not how that works, obviously. So barely get by after I worked, but it was just minimum wage jobs.
Sure.
And, so I knew I needed a change in my life. I did, and I was heading the wrong way. I was hanging out at the bar too often, and I just needed a change in my life.
Okay.
I really did, and I knew the Army would give me that.
Okay.
So I was pretty desperate to go. When I signed up, I had to lose some weight to get in. It wasn't a ton of weight, but I needed to lose weight, and I had done that in wrestling and all that before, so whatever. But it's been a while. So I start losing the weight, and I go to I have to take a test up in Syracuse, New York, to get in. I knew I wouldn't pass the weight test, but I still had to do all the other tests anyway. So I figured I would just go, fail the weight test, go back in a couple months, and then pass. So I go there, and they do the tape test. They tape around your waist to see your body fat percentage and all that stuff. And as they're taping me, I'm standing. Actually, the first time I go, I just stand regular and I fail the tape test. And like I said, I knew I would. Second time I go, I lost a bunch of weight and I was desperate. I just needed to go. And they put the tape on me, and I stood there with my gut sucked in as far as I could suck it in. I made my neck as big as I could. That's what the recruiters told me to do. Like, hey, when you go in there, suck it in and make your neck really big. That's how you pass the tape test. So I'm doing that, and the guy that's taping me is a Navy guy, and He said, I'm not taping you. I'm like, why? He's like, you're not standing normal. I said, yes, I am. He's like, no, you're not. I mean, I obviously was not. It's very obvious. He's like, no, you're not. He said, I know what your recruiters told you to do. All the recruiters tell them to do this. So if you're close on a tape. So he's like, I'm not taping you until you stand normal. I'm like, I'm standing normal. So we went back and forth. And finally he was like, okay, I'm not taping you. And I understood that he really wasn't going to. So I stood normal. I got taped and I passed. And he came up to me afterwards. He said, why wouldn't you listen to me? He's like, I saw that you were here last time and you failed the test and you passed the test this time. Why did you do that? I'm like, I need to go. I need to go now. So that was a big reason. I needed a direction. That was part of it. Mm-hmm. I got my 3 big ones. 9/11 was another one. 9/11, just what happened, and anger at first, but more pride than anything. And I was proud of our country, how we came together and put our arms around each other, and I wanted to be a part of that, protecting what that was. And here we are, more divided than ever, and wild. But what are we waiting for? Tragedy. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for this huge thing to happen so that we can all come together again. That's so silly to me. Like, why don't we come together before the big thing happens? Guess what? The big thing probably doesn't happen if we come together. So I don't know. But that's another reason. And really the biggest one, and what made me actually go and sign the papers, was I was, kind of not knowing where I was in my life, what I wanted to do. And I was at my grandmother's house on Easter Sunday in 2004. And on her coffee table was our local newspaper. Front headline, Easter Sunday. It said, Sydney grad killed in Iraq. Sydney is a school that's very close to where I'm from. And I looked at the picture of the soldier, and it was somebody I knew. Not really that well, but I knew him through the sport of wrestling. He wrestled for Sydney. I wrestled for Windsor. So I saw that story. I read the story, and that was like, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing? Like, he just gave everything for me, for us, and I've done nothing for myself or anyone else. So the day after that is when I actually went and signed those papers to join. And then it was all that after with the weight loss and figuring out. I needed to go. I don't know where I would be in this world without the military. That was the best decision I ever made, I tell people.
No regrets.
No, none. There's actually like a 10-minute video out there, and the title is No Regrets. Yeah, I just don't.
So what did you do in the Army? What did you do? Infantry
I was a Cav Scout.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I joined, there wasn't many options open. Infantry wasn't even open, actually, as one of my choices. So Cav Scout was one that sounded the best. When I went to sign up, I went and I signed the papers, and then I called my dad. I said, hey, I'm in. My dad was super excited for me, too, because he knew I was going down a path where I shouldn't have been going, and eventually I needed to change. So the Army was the right choice for me, and he knew that. So I called him. I said, Dad, I joined. He's like, oh, that's awesome. He's like, what did you pick for a job? I said, bath and laundry specialist.
Yes.
Yeah, bath and laundry specialist. He's like, hey, you know what his words were? Why do you even join? He went from so proud to like, what are you doing? Because, I don't think he thought I would be in the military forever. I think he thought this was a stepping stone. I'd get out, and then I'd use what I learned in the military to help me along the way. He's like, bath and laundry specialist. I'm like, I'm kidding. I'm a Cav Scout. But he was like, oh, okay. What does that teach me? I'm never going to drive a tank outside of the military when I get out.
What is Cav Scout?
So way back in the day, Cav Scouts were the guys who rode the horses. They quiet. They would go in quiet. They would go count the enemy. They would count the amount of horses, count the amount of soldiers, count the amount of cannons. That's what the cavalry was. Cavalry's changed a lot. Obviously, we're not taking horses into battle anymore. It wouldn't be too smart. We take Bradleys, which are not quiet.
Bradley's is essentially a Jeep?
It's like a small tank, really.
A tank.
Tracked vehicle. Like I said, my buddies would never call it a tank. Tankers would never call it a tank.
Okay.
But if you ever see one, look it up. Bradley fighting vehicle, it's a tank. That's what it is. So, but they're not quiet.
Yeah.
They're not these little quiet things. So it's kind of funny how cavalry scouts have changed to what we do today. Okay. And we are very similar to infantry. You know, it's so funny, the military and the disagreements, because every infantry person right now is like, nope, cavalry scouts are nothing like infantry. Well,
Wow.
we did a lot of the same stuff. We just had more equipment.
I'm showing it on the monitor right now, what it
Yes.
looks like.
Yeah, so tracked vehicle, and actually, you know, so when the vehicle was hit with the IED, it went through the bottom, through the track, up through the top, into the turret, and that turret is that top part of the vehicle, and
Okay.
that's where the fuel tank is, and that's also where I was sitting. So that was the issue. If it didn't hit the fuel tank that day, we would have been fine. No issues whatsoever. Vehicle might have had some damage to it, but other than that, we would have been good to go.
So y'all were blown up.
Blown up.
You and who?
My two buddies who were in the vehicle with me. So you have to have 3 people in the vehicle to man the vehicle. If you have 2, you don't have you don't have a crew. You can't go out with 2 people. You have to have a driver, a Bradley commander, and a gunner. Those are the 3 minimum. Now the Bradley holds, I think, 11 people total, but we never had more guys. We almost never had more guys than the 3. So we had 3 guys. It was Sergeant Montez, who was our Bradley commander, and Specialist Lowe, who was our driver that day. I would switch in driver and gunner, so we just switched back and forth. So that day that I got blown up, I was the gunner.
What happened to these 2 other guys?
Yeah, so Montez did not make it. So Montez was the commander. He was the one sitting right next to me, actually standing next to me in the Bradley, in the turret. You know, people are like, did you know him well? Well, 9 months we were deployed at that point. We were in the Bradley all the time together. When you're in the turret of a Bradley, you sit about, I don't know, there's about a foot of space in between you and the other person. When you're in a place for 9 months that close to somebody, you get to know them really well. So I did know Montez well from that 9 months and the year before that. But he passed away 7 days later in the hospital from his injuries. He had some internal injuries that they didn't know were going on until it was, I think, a little too late. And then my buddy Lowe, he was driving, and he was burned. I think he was 20 or 30% burned on his back. So he was in front of the vehicle, so the fire was behind him. So most of his burns were on his back. But I know that at one point, I don't know how he's doing today with it, but I know at one point he did really struggle with some post-traumatic stress. And yeah.
You still in touch with him?
Yeah, we still talk. Not as much as I'd like to. It's here and there. You know, my buddies and I, just from my platoon, we all have this. We use this app called Marco Polo, and we kind of go back and forth once in a while. And they're on it way more than me. I wish I could. I wish I did, because I could. I wish I did get on it more. But I had a great conversation yesterday with one of my buddies.
Tell me about it.
It was just such a, you know. So he texted me. I was driving I was staying in. We did some filming yesterday in Georgia, Vermont. And I was driving. It's a 5.5 hour drive for me. So he texted me about 2 hours into my trip, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I haven't heard from him in a while. And I'm like, "Oh, things are okay. Yeah, good." You know, I try to be honest, but I want to say everything is great, but some days just, you know, things aren't great. So I was like, "Yeah, things are good." And he's like, "Can I call you sometime soon?" Now I'm not gonna lie. When I get a message from a buddy from the military that I haven't heard from in a while that says something like that, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Some fear comes in, and I almost don't want to text back right away because like prolonged. Because the last time I got a text like that or a call like that left a message was I called back and one of my buddies was dead over in Afghanistan, was killed in Afghanistan. So like he texted me that, and I'm like, oh man. And so I said, oh, I'm free right now. I'm driving. And so he called, and he said, I said, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit afraid about this call right now. He's like, no, there's nothing to be afraid of. He's like, I'm good. Nothing bad to report. This is a good call. I'm like, phew. But that's the fear. Like, we don't talk, like, to get a phone call from these guys, it's a big deal, but we don't do it that often. So when they do, it's like, oh man, what bad is going on? But no, the phone call was just amazing. Something I needed. We talked about faith. We talked about life. We talked about he's coming up to New York, and I'll be able to get together with him. And I wish I had more of those guys around me, and I don't. We're also, you know, you get out of the military and they're all over. Nevada. He's in Texas. We got my buddy Lowe is in Arkansas. We got guys in Alabama and Florida. So, nobody in New York. So That's just really good to connect with him. Just have some awesome conversations.
And you're going to see him soon.
Yeah, in September he's coming up. He said I'm a hippie redneck is what he calls himself. It's kind of funny.
I have to ask, because if I don't, it'll bug me. What happened to the other guy in the Bradley with
Low.
you? Okay.
Yeah, so Low, he moved back to Arkansas. That was the one I was saying is in Arkansas, and he's married and has kids, and he is doing well. Okay. He is doing well.
Was he burned also?
Mostly on his back, yeah.
All
So
right.
I think he did have some stuff on his hands.
But what about the third guy?
Montez, he's the one that passed away.
That was
Yeah.
the three. Okay.
Yep. So Montez, he passed away. He his burns were pretty bad, but he also, I don't know what from, but he had some internal injuries. I don't know if it was from breathing in the smoke. I don't know if it was some kind of impact thing that happened. But he had, what I was told when I was in the hospital was he had some kind of compartment syndrome, and that is when your limbs usually swell up.
Yeah.
I had to have that. I had to have my compartment syndrome released on both of my legs and my arms. But he supposedly had it internally, and they didn't know. And
All right.
Yeah.
So you lost your leg.
It did.
You had burns over more than 60% of your entire body.
Yep.
You had to jump off of this Bradley,
Right.
which is like 10 feet off the ground.
10 feet tall from the turret to the ground.
You're burning alive. You jump off this thing. You fall. You hit the ground. You break your leg badly.
Yeah.
You're still on fire.
Yep.
And then you roll down into like a culvert,
Yeah.
like a water
Yep. Disgusting water.
on the side of the road,
Yeah.
down over the bank.
That's right. So there was two canals. So there was a lot of canals, we called them, in Iraq. And they usually, went alongside, parallel to the road. And there was one in the middle of the road, and then there was one, because this road had two kind of ways, and there was a concrete ditch canal in the middle, and then on the one side there was just a dug canal, dirt, and that's the one I fell in. So the one in the middle kind of had, I think, it was really shallow, but I think it had cleaner water where it moved anyways. When the water I fell in was not moving, it was stagnant and really disgusting water. And it almost killed me. Almost killed me, that water. Yeah, when I was in the hospital, I had a thing called aspergillus, the fungus, and it was on my palms, and they cut my palms off 2 different times. And they told my parent, and they did that to stop it from spreading, because if it went past that, it would take my life. I don't remember this part because I was a mess, but my parents said they had to cover the whole room in black plastic. And basically, because they didn't want that stuff spreading in the hospital. I mean, it would kill a bunch of people. So, major deal. So they told my parents if it came back a third time, they weren't going to cut my palms off. They were going to cut my hands off to stop the spread. And that's just and thankfully it didn't come back. So, my hands, that's all they do. That's the only motion I have in my hands. But I talk to the kids about this all the time. I said, do you think I appreciate my hands? Now, it's funny because at this point in the conversation, they know me very well, and they're like, yes, you do. But if I met them for the first time ever, or anyone, just say, do you think I appreciate my hands? Be like, probably not. Like, what you got? Can you even do? But I do everything. I figure it out.
What a message.
That's appreciation in general.
Wow.
Appreciating what we have.
For what you have.
Yeah. It's fine to want and have desire. It is okay.
So many different messages here. There's one of resiliency, but there's one of what we're talking about right now.
There's a ton of different things.
How's your eyesight?
Pretty good.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
There's another thing on the list.
There's so much. I don't concentrate on what I've lost. So, how's your eyesight? It's really good. I can see pretty well. I did lose a little bit, but that's not the stuff I concentrate on.
Your ears are gone.
Gone.
How's your hearing?
What's that?
How's your hearing?
What's that?
How's your hearing?
The best question
I think Tom
ever.
told me that you were going to do that.
Oh, really? All right.
I think he did.
It's funny because the kids, that's almost always like their first, how do you hear with no ears? And it's like, what? It's just the best question.
Yeah.
Most fun with that.
But aren't you blessed to have those things?
That I still have. All my senses are still there except for touch. I can't feel with my hands. So just from nerve damage, scarring, stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got to be careful when I cook and stuff with hot pans. I don't know if they're hot or not, or Yeah, but I'm blessed in a million different ways, and I see it all today. But when when this first happened, it was hard to see blessings in this. And maybe there weren't so many. But that's what, we talk about hope and what hope stands for. Hold on. Possibilities exist. Hold on through that really awful crap that's going on, because then you'll see the possibilities that exist. And those possibilities can be amazing if you allow them to be.
What do you say, though, Rick, to so many of us who sit and listen to what you just said, what just came out of your mouth, and we're like, yep, I understand what he's saying, but I just can't live the same thing that he's saying.
Okay.
Because so much really bad shit has happened to me, even unspeakable stuff from our childhood or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, the first thing right in what you said is I can't live this. Stop saying that right there. If you say that, you won't be able to. Okay, I can. Let's start there. That's hope. That's the beginning. Okay, I got some hope. All right, now it's going to take work. And it's going to take time. Right, I know. Man. A lot of work and a lot of patience. It's not easy. It is not easy, but we know this. Everybody knows this. Like the best things in life don't come easy. They don't. But we talk about hope, and when you hold on long enough, you find out the amazing things that are the possibilities in your life.
Say that one more time. When you hold on long enough,
you find out the amazing possibilities that there are in your life, that exist in your life. You find them out. Listen, when I got blown up, rolling around on the ground, I say today that it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I just certainly wasn't saying it then, or a week after, a month after, a year after. It took time, a lot of time.
18 years?
Well, not quite 18 years. I would say about 5 years. Okay. To really get
this was 18 years ago that
18 years ago that it happened, right? Yeah. But it took about 5 years for me to get out of that point where I could finally say, you know what? There's some really good stuff happening right now. And the stuff that's happening that's good is really because of what happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it takes time. And, there's so many people in this world, motivational people who come out and they say right off the bat, like, just get through it. Be tough.
Yeah.
Be strong. How about let it suck for a second? Yeah. Like, it does suck.
Is that okay?
I think it's totally fine. I mean, I would tell you that's normal. And I would say that if you're skipping that part of some situation, there are certain situations where you don't need to do that and you just kind of move on to the next one. But there are certain situations that suck. And let it suck for a second. Don't let it suck for too long. That's not good. That's not healthy. But I don't know. It depends. Man, for me, it was a really long time that it didn't feel good. But here I am today. But now I will say I could be on fire again tomorrow. Pray to God I'm not. But I could be. And I wouldn't let it bring me down for 5 years. That's for sure. It would be, woe is me. Oh my God, this is awful. This sucks. I think about that stuff once in a while.
I mean, just losing your leg alone.
For sure. I think about that because I could lose my knee. So I have a below knee amputation. Below knee amputation. Can you say that for me?
Below knee amputation.
All right, now take out amputation.
Below knee.
Say it faster.
Below knee.
Yeah, there you go.
Below knee.
There you go. Below knee. So I have a below knee amputation. So I have my knee. But I get infections in my knee sometimes. And there are times where my doctor's like, hey, man, you got to be really careful because you might lose your knee. And I think about that stuff once in a while. And I also almost like preparing myself because if it does happen, I don't think it'll happen, but it could. So I think about that. And if I do end up with an amputation above my knee, is it going to suck? Yes, it's going to suck, but I'm only going to let it suck for a very short time. Like, honestly, probably even a day or 2 days. But that's just where I'm at today. Now, then,
you're a tough bastard.
Well, I'm way stronger than I've ever been before in my life, mentally. Physically, certainly different. But here's the thing. It's wild because I'm telling you all this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a special person. Well, listen, a week before my injury, I told my buddy that if I ever lost my leg, I wanted him to shoot me. That was a true statement. I don't remember that conversation. My buddy told me after, he's like, do you remember where we were sitting in the tent in Iraq and we were talking about, because guys were losing their legs and they were losing their arms. And I said, yeah, if I ever lose my leg, I want you to shoot me, because I'm a soldier. I'm a football player. I'm a wrestler. If I lose my leg, I'm none of those things. That's what I believed. We don't know what we can get through until we get through it. But now that I've gone through something so big, I know I will get through everything. That doesn't mean I'm immortal. I'm going to live forever. Like, yeah, I am mortal, but I'm going to fight until the very end for anything, for everything. And I just know that today.
Do you get people that say, oh, well, now that I've met you, I can't complain about anything. Or now when something happens to me, whatever it is, I went through a divorce, or I lost a finger on the table saw, or whatever.
Well, guess what?
That put it into perspective and remember Rick Yarish.
Here's the thing. Going through a divorce, does it suck? Yeah. It would be heart-wrenching. I couldn't imagine myself going through something like that. Like, it's going to be hard. But am I going to be okay in the end? Yes, I am. And that's just, and if I'm going to if you lose a finger on the table saw, does it suck? Yes, it does. It's okay. So, but it's going to be okay in the end. It's hard to figure that out in the time that you're feeling it. But again, that's where holding on comes in. That's where patient comes in, because eventually. So yeah, I hope I can be the inspiration for people to get through that, but not like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't let this feel this way because Rick went through so much. No, it does suck. Let it, and then move on.
How'd you meet your wife?
Yeah, mutual friend,
okay.
Matt Chacom.
Okay.
Matt Chacom.
And then what?
Mutual friend, Matt Chacom.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Match.com.
Match.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's way better when you tell somebody you met your wife through a mutual friend than online.
I understand.
Yeah,
I'm getting it.
I learned that from a friend, Match.com. But I'm a huge New York Giants fan, and in one of her pictures, she was wearing a New York Giants hooded sweatshirt, and I married her the next day. I'm kidding.
What?
Yeah. I tell the kids that.
They're like,
because they're like, oh, that's so nice. You met your wife, and then I say I married her the next day, and they're like, that's creepy. Like, just ruined the mood here. No, it was a year and a half later.
Was it a blind date? Did she? I mean, had she?
Was my wife blind? Is that what you're asking?
You
would assume that she would be with the way I look.
How did this happen?
Right. So first of all, I'm a baby. I am a baby. And I always say I dated the same way on Match that I did in high school. Like, if you didn't pursue me or ask me out, it was never going to happen, because I'm never asking anyone out. Because if the answer is no, oh, my God, why?
Yeah.
So I just didn't ask,
Right.
And so I did the same thing on Match. I had a profile. I was on there. And if people talked to me, then that's how things would start. And I always started with, when somebody did reach out to me, it always started with, like, I've seen you before. Thank you for your service. And I was like, I don't know.
Did you have a picture of yourself in your profile?
Yeah, there was a picture
of you.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's how they knew. I seen you before. Thank you for your service. And I was like, oh man, like, that's not how I want to start a relationship. Wow. I don't know. It just felt weird. Okay. So I was like, thank you, appreciate it, and then kind of the end of the conversation. But then my wife, Amy, she reached out, and she didn't start with any of that stuff. I don't think knew that I was in the military or anything. Just started having a conversation, and I'm like, when is she gonna mention that part of it? I've seen you before in the newspaper or around town, or nope, nothing.
Because again, there's a picture of you on the profile.
Oh yeah, for sure. So she can see me. She sees what's going on. That something happened, but she's talking to me like nothing happened, which is like crazy to me.
Whoa.
Right, for sure. So something's different here. So then, we talked that first night, and then the second day she mentions, she's like, I told my dad about you. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, he knew who you were. But the fact that she didn't know who I was at all was impressive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, it felt amazing. So she just never, but I say that about my little 5-year-old. Like, she doesn't look at me any different. My wife didn't, and my daughter, who's my 13-year-old, she's my stepdaughter. She came into my life when she was about almost 4 years old. Crazy enough, she never looked at me any different. Now, but that's from my wife. My wife just, I don't know. It's obviously something very special about her, to just not care about that kind of thing. Yeah,
that's like giving me goosebumps, my man, because that's like beyond rare.
Yeah. Well, I asked her, like, why? And she's like, you know what? I wanted to meet a nice guy. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, I've done the other thing, looking the wrong way for, and I wanted to meet a nice guy. So
you guys met? You had a date?
We had a date. Yep. And
went well.
It went well. I met her family pretty quick. I met her sister really quick. I hope Kristen's watching right now. That made me question the relationship a little bit.
Why is that?
Kristen's crazy. And Kristen knows she's crazy. Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She came running in the house, like, first time meeting her. Amy, like, warned me too. She's like, you're going to meet Kristen. And I'm like, okay. And Kristen comes in, and Kristen's like, you got any change? Can I have some, take some candy? And Kristen's awesome. Her family is amazing. Her family is just... And her mom is like the nicest person in the world. But obviously that's where, Amy gets that stuff from.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so Match.com, and, now we've been married for, this is where I get in trouble.
Okay.
Math, numbers.
We all get in trouble.
Yeah, I think so it'll be 8 years that we're married in July. Until July 15th, it will be 8 years. And amazing. Then that'll be almost, no, I can't be right.
Right around 10.
Yeah.
Should we round up?
Yeah, round up.
We'll go up to 10.
Well, I'm July or January will be 10 years that we're dating. So we're in a year and a half. So I don't know. It's so confusing to me.
So at what point in this relationship were either you or Amy saying, "Okay, we're getting married"?
Yeah.
Will we have a child
right
together?
I knew pretty early on that we were going to get married.
Okay.
I knew that, yeah, pretty early.
Okay.
Her dad had passed away not long after we started dating. So
wow.
That was, it was a very tough time, and he knew that I was going to marry her too. I never got to ask for permission because it wasn't that far along in the race, but we had talked about it, and I always see a text that he sent her before he passed, and he's like, you know what? Fiance sounds a lot better than boyfriend. You need to tell him to hurry up and propose. So I did propose, but he was passed by then. Proposed on Thanksgiving Day. And the reason I did it then is because family is like the most important thing to my wife. It truly is. That her family is the most important thing in her life. So I wanted just to do it in front of her family, and I did it at Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday anyways, so it was the perfect day to do it.
And then how did you what was the conversation about maybe having a child together?
Yeah, well, I mean, she wanted lots of kids.
Okay.
My whole life, I said 3. 3 was kind of a good number. I was one of 3. I have 2 brothers.
But you had 0.
We had 1, just
at this point. At this point, you had
just our stepdaughter.
Just your stepdaughter.
Yep. So she was almost 4. So none of our own. And I consider my daughter Tenley mine.
Of course.
No, I don't look at it any other way.
Sure.
But so we talked about it and tried. Didn't happen. Something from my injury just won't let that happen. I got tested and just chemicals and whatever or something. I don't know. Okay. It just will not work. So that was devastating. I'll tell you right now. That was devastating. I cry a little more today than I did back in the day, just with age and, I don't know. I've grown a lot of empathy as age comes.
Yeah.
But
did you know that there was that was a risk related to your injuries? Were you afraid of this?
Not really. I don't know. I just never know. I didn't really think of it like that because, I mean, you just have, and if you can't have a kid, it's usually the woman. It seems to be that it's more, or maybe not. Maybe that's not even true, but maybe that's what's more talked about. Sure. So I never thought about that. So when I went and had testing done, and they were like, no, it's not going to happen. I was like, well, that's really kind of heartbreaking. Now, they didn't tell me right then, but I can remember I go to a camp in the summer, and I speak to students in a business camp in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And I was on my way there when the doctor called. And I had to pull over, and this is so silly. But at the time, this is what I was feeling. Am I even a man? You know what I mean? Like, a man is supposed to be able to create a child. But if you can, are you even a man? Like, that's the question. Now, again, that is stupid. But in the moment of it, that's how I felt. And now I'm driving, and I got to go do a presentation in front of all these students. And I got to, put on this big old smile and talk about hope and all these things. It's exactly what I needed that day. 100% what I needed that day. And then after the presentation was over, this makes I'm feeling it right now in my face. It's so odd. After the presentation was over, a guy came up to me, one of the instructors there, younger guy, but he has a daughter who was maybe, 13 or 14, and she was diagnosed with something. And I've never had anyone say this to me ever in my life. And he came up, and after the presentation, he said, my daughter, she's just diagnosed with this. They just told her that she'll never have children. No one has ever just come up to me. And on the day that I just find out 4 hours earlier that I will never be able to. And I just didn't I'm like, this is and so I told him the story about, here I am already telling the story 4 hours earlier. I just hear about it. Now I'm telling the story to this guy. And I was like, you know what? This is when I was like, it's going to be okay. To him, I'm saying it. She's going to be great. She's going to be fine. So I can say it to other people. And when I say it to other people, I'm like, oh, crap. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It took 4 hours for me to get to that point. Now, I'm telling you, it was still pieces of me that was bummed out and dealing with it along the way. But, so what? You can't have your own kids. I know that's hard for some people to hear because, some people right now are saying, it doesn't feel like so what. It feels like the worst thing ever.
Sure.
Well, if I could have children, my daughter Grace would never be in my life. I can't even that to me is insane, because Grace we adopted. We fostered from 10 days old. She came to us right from the hospital, and we picked her up at the NICU, and we adopted her 2 years later, through COVID and all that stuff. But she would not be my daughter today. And, foster daughter, adopted daughter. That's what they are to me. I don't look at them any different. Those are my kids. And Tom and I talk about this, blood. There's no blood of mine that runs through them, but you would never, ever know. I would never even think about that. They are the closest thing to the most important things in my life. But Grace wouldn't be here in my life today if I could have children. That is crazy to me. So through it, I found this blessing. Through this negative thing, there's the blessing. And there is blessing in all negative things if you choose to see them. Now, I don't have to tie Grace to all of that. I choose to, because it makes it easier to deal with those types of things. Yeah, it's just wild to me that I wouldn't have my daughter today if I could have children of my own.
Hindsight's always 20/20, as they say, but man, sometimes it can take a long time for you to look back and say, I am almost blessed that happened to me. I feel that way. But I've been putting things into perspective over the last, 5 to 10 years, really, in my life, but especially over the last couple of years. I'm like, I am so blessed by certain things that at the time I just thought were the worst.
And we can allow those worst things to just take over. We can look around the world and see people who have done that.
Yeah.
And they are not in good places. They need a support system to help them. They need somebody to help them pull obstacles out of their way.
Yeah.
And then realize, oh, I can do this.
I have to just say this because when I lost my dog, it was, as I know you can relate to, it was really probably the worst. That's not probably. It was the worst day of my life at that point. And I just didn't know how I was going to carry on after 16 years with this dog that I loved more than anything. And I remember my wife saying to me, it's going to suck. It's going to be bad. It's going to suck for a long time. But at some point, you have to pick up and you have to move on here.
You do.
And be fair to yourself. Be patient with yourself.
And do you still have moments of sadness?
Yeah.
Of course. And that's fine. That's okay. But it doesn't consume you.
It doesn't consume. That's the word right there. And if it consumes you, then it's consuming your soul. And
that's
essentially,
right.
You have allowed something to ruin your life.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
To take a piece of you away permanently.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't allow that. Or you can.
You can.
But that's just it. I say that you can't allow. You can. That's where choice is the biggest part of it all.
Sure.
You have to make the choice to want to make the difference, to want to make a change. And then you do. Or you don't.
What's the rest of your day like? I know you're snug on time. What's the rest of this day and this week looking like for Rick Yarish?
So it's June. So June is a little slower in the school year, especially. Schools want us in the beginning of the year. But today, I'm here right now. As soon as I leave here, I'm going to go to Peru, New York, and we're going to do a community day with them where some of the older students in the school that participated in our Spartan race in September. They did the STEP program with some young kids, and they're going to put on a obstacle course for the young kids today.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. So much of our work really is incredible, but really watching what these older kids do with the little kids is the most incredible thing. Because we get to just step back and watch what's going on. The true result of what we're doing. Like, that's amazing. So I'm excited about what we're going to do at Peru.
And God bless Matt Berry and his administration there for embracing what it is that you guys do. It is very important to go to school and to learn things, of course. But you guys are teaching things that are far beyond the basic curriculums.
Humanity, being a person,
empathy,
how to be a leader, empathy, like all these things that you are going to encounter for sure. It is a guarantee.
Dealing with bullying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult, if you're bullied.
Dealing with bullying, dealing with life, dealing with difficulty.
Yeah.
Life. That's what we're teaching. We're teaching life and how to get through stuff and how to deal with stuff and how to help other people deal with stuff.
Sure.
I always say the biggest reward of going through what I went through is helping others now. That's the reward. When you deal with something really awful and you get through it, now you can help other people go through something tough.
So here's me at the ferry terminal.
Yeah.
And Tom wants me to bring this up. I only have the Google Pay.
So did you forget your wallet? That's what happened? That's the part I missed.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, but why should I have to worry about the fact that I don't have my wallet here? As long as I have the Google Pay on the cell phone, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, but
Rick.
I also heard you were going to a school where you need your ID.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't know that. How am I supposed to know these things?
Oh, man. And I heard Tom's lesson.
What? Yeah, Tom was like, I'm like, Tom, I'm in a panic. I mean, I'm going to let these kids down. I'm going to let Tom down. Now I got to drive around the top of the lake. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I'm at the ferry terminal.
Yeah.
Well, can you make it? I even said to the lady, I'm like, can I give you something for collateral?
Sure.
can you bill me?
My
She's
child?
She's like,
Hold
no.
on to my child for a week?
And I'm like, really? It's no? I can see the land over there. If I drive fast
right.
enough, maybe I can catch enough air and clear the lake. What would you have done?
Well, so it's a different scenario, but similar situation. I put my wallet on top of my car. Oh, I know.
I did that one time.
Yeah, it's the only time I've ever done it. I think I did anyway. I still don't know for sure, but I think I did. I got gas at home, and I was driving to Connecticut, and I get off, and right as I'm pulling off the exit in Connecticut, I'm like, my wallet, and I'm like, oh no. So I pull into a gas station right there, and I'm like, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. I don't know where it is. I call my brother-in-law back home, and I'm like, hey, I lost my wallet. He's like, I'll go search. I'll do a look. Or I told my wife, and she asked him to kind of do a look, so he couldn't find it. But then I get to the school, Tom and I present, and then I got to go home. I'm going to need gas. And I tell Tom the situation. He's like, I'll give you, $20, $40, whatever. He's like, here. And I'm like, no, I'll figure it out. Now, there's figuring it out and there's being stupid. Like, figuring it out would have been taking that $40 and getting gas and driving home. I don't know why, to this day, why I didn't take the money from him. I really don't.
What did you do?
I had no money, literally. So I'm like, you know what? I know my card numbers. I can I have a picture of it. So, like, I can go and we own a restaurant and people can we plug in numbers and
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I go to a gas station. And I'm like, I don't have my card, but I know all the numbers. I know the expiration. I know the security code. And they're like, yeah, we can't do that. And I'm like, oh no, now I'm in trouble because I've pushed it to the limit and I'm almost on E.
Yeah.
And I'm driving through the back roads of New York. Yeah. I'm in trouble. So next gas station I go to is kind of like just a guy owns it. It's not a Stewart's or anything like that. And this guy owns it. And I said, listen, I have no money. I have my card numbers and all that, but I don't know if that's going to work. He's like, yeah, that won't work. And I'm like, can I get some gas? Because now I'm empty. I got no money. Right outside, it was funny too. Right outside, when I pulled in, there's two little kids. They were doing they were selling like a garage sale. They had a garage sale or something going on. And they're like, it's Rick. It's Rick.
What?
Yeah, because we were in that area. This is not near Connecticut, but this is on the way home. We were I think it was Salem, New York. And we had spoken Salem a couple of times. So the kids knew who I was.
Oh, my God.
Which I think actually lent to this guy trusting me a little bit. Yeah. So he let me fill up my tank. And he said, just mail me a check with how much you use. And we're set. So when I got home, first thing I did was write him a check, and then I wrote him a separate check for just being an awesome human being. And he sent back the second check. He wouldn't take it. Yeah, he wouldn't take it. He sent me the second check back. He said, wow. I didn't do it for that. I did it because you were in a situation where you needed help, and I was able to help.
Yeah, this guy overheard me. I didn't even know I was being listened to. He overheard me on the phone.
Yeah, he didn't hear your result.
No.
What was your result?
He gave me $20.
He did.
He's like, he pulled out his wallet and he's like, get on the boat.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
so
I think in that situation, I think I probably just would ask somebody. That's one thing I've learned. And, that's just lessons learned.
Oh, man, I don't know how to do that.
I was so afraid to ask for help for so many things. But sometimes in your life, you need help. What's your other scenario? What else is gonna work?
Drive around the top end of the lake and be late as hell to.
Oh, right. You could have gone that way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess. But
I was so mad, Rick.
You made that guy feel good though. Even though you felt good that he was doing that, but he felt good to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what So it makes me think about thank you for your service. People say that a lot. And a lot of veterans, it gets on my nerves. A lot of veterans are like, don't tell me thank you for my service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Listen, man, it's making them. This isn't about you're making it about you.
Yeah.
Don't make it about you. Don't make everything about you. It's about them. They feel good that they are able to say that to you.
Sure.
Don't ruin their day.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Wow.
Just take it. And even if you don't love them saying it, who cares? Just take it. Walk away after. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's simple. Yeah. You can easily ruin somebody's day. You can also easily make somebody's day.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, I got to tell you, what an inspiration you are. What an honor it is to have you here on Aired Out. I am so blessed to have met you and Tom both, and the rest of the whole team. My God, all of them. You guys are a real blessing to my life, and you're impacting more and more and more and more schools and people and students, and you're doing yeoman's work, brother.
We have an amazing team. We really do. I'm so proud of everybody doing their part, playing. It's so amazing to watch where it started and where it is. Like just the people that we bring in and the commitment that they make. Everybody on our team has committed. Yeah. Which is one of the hardest things to do in the world is commitment. And we have a team full of committed people.
If you get on sweetheartsandheroes.com, this is what you're going to see. Scroll down, read their whole story of what they're doing, how they're impacting, as we said earlier, not just students, but adults everywhere.
Man, we're speaking to adults tomorrow, Tom and I.
Where are you going to go?
Geneva, New York. We're speaking to some people in the electricity business. Oh. So a bunch of linemen.
And you've already done this.
We've done something like it.
You were just in Des Moines.
We were in Iowa. That was different. That was safety people who are in charge of the safety stuff for electricians. And but this is this will be a lot of actual linemen in the room. And I'm sure Tom shared it, or maybe he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of suicides that happen in that profession.
Congratulations. I'm just reminded here of your book. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you.
How do we get your book?
Amazon.com.
What's it called? What's it about?
I got it right here. Called A Bridge Named... You mentioned your dog.
Yes.
Losing your pup. So it's called A Bridge Named Amos. And Amos was actually alive the whole time I wrote this book. And he ended up passing away. Right there on the book, it says the date that he passed away, and he passed away in October of this year. So that was a tough one. But the book is about what he did for me and the connection that he made. I mean, that's what bridges do. They connect you from one side to another, and that's what he did. He connected me to children. So I couldn't, back to the beginning of this whole thing, what we were talking about in the very beginning, children were afraid of me. Are they afraid of Amos? Absolutely not. They loved Amos. So when I'm attached to Amos, they barely even see me. They saw the dog, and he was my connection to that. Because once they saw Amos, they could hear me. Yeah, it was kind of wild. It, like, opened them up to being able to hear me.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
You can get it, you said, on Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. If you're a school, you can buy bulk, so it's a lot cheaper if you buy bulk. You can go right through our website.
Hold it up one more time for folks to see.
Bridge Named Amos.
And this is just out.
Yeah, just out. Yeah, we released it in November, actually, right around Veterans Day, November. And but yeah, so yeah, you can get the book on Amazon, and I've read it to a ton of students. It's basically.
Yeah. I see the pictures on your social media, man.
And honestly, so your 13-year-old might not love the book, but every adult loves this book.
Yeah.
Every little kid loves this book. From pre-K to 3rd or 4th grade, I would even say. But it's for parents as well.
Sure.
It really is. There's a lot of lessons in this book. Yeah, I love reading this book to students.
Thank you so much for getting in here, for being in here. I hope to have you back soon, man. Maybe with King Tom. We'll see what happens.
Oh, please don't call him that. That's brutal.
Well, he calls himself that.
I know he does, but you can't feed that ego he's got.
You got to love that guy, though, man.
I do love that guy. I absolutely do. He knows it. I just don't tell him enough.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Rick, so much. Appreciate you, love you, and God bless you, man.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right, bud. Over and out.